welcome back to another Instagram Live. I'm Vidushi, a member of the Book Nerds editorial team, and today we will be discussing two very amazing books by this author, and I'm just so pleased to be discussing these books. I have been obsessing over them for a very long time, and I'm so happy right now. I'll be sharing this experience with Rohan Raj, the co-founder of Book Nerds, and we will be here discussing these two books.
Hi, Rohan.
Hi Vidushi, how are you?
Very exhausted. My college just ended. I'm so
Okay,
exhausted.
okay, great. So, yeah, it has been a
But
while
so
since,
excited. Oh my God.
yeah, am I audible properly? Cool. So, it has been a while since we have gotten together to discuss a book. I don't remember recently if we have done that. There were other people from Book Nerds, perhaps they were discussing many books, but you used the right word, obsessed, and you know, I mean, we'll be using this word. Let me tell you, over a
So will the characters of the book. Along with us, the characters of the book will also be using this word. So caution intended.
goodness, it has been kind of a strange year and a half. I mean, 20 and 21, because I have been on this kind of spree of reading murder mysteries and uh, reading and watching about serial killers. So yeah, I am all set. We have to discuss because I have so much going on in this world that
I
I was
think
pretty prepared.
I think our whole streak of murder mysteries started with our first editorial session in 2020
Oh
with
yes, oh yes.
with
Good to-
Alex.
before we forget, it's all about this book, right? From my
Oh,
side, of course. And I have got the paperback of the other one also, In the Shadows of Death and
oh my God, I'm jealous.
the Colors of Passion. I mean, yeah, I have the perks sometimes to get hold on. So yeah, I read In the Shadows of Death, and it has been around for a while. It is not a new book, but I was pleasantly surprised because, to be honest, I mean, I just hope the author is not watching this right now. But I was like, like many other readers, I was like, are we really good at this genre? Are we seriously good at this? Because I was kind of, I was not sure, but when I picked it up and I mentioned it to my wife as well, I said to her that, oh my God, he writes really well. So that is always good, But once after
I
like
have to say that our expectations of books, because we read Agatha Christie and we read Sidney Sheldon, right,
yeah,
at the start. So our expectations is already here, right?
yes,
So we
yes,
sometimes I think we judge very harshly to new writers and the debut writers in the genre
perhaps, yeah,
because I think we do, but sometimes I've seen these nuances of when the writers are still figuring out how they want to mold their character and how they
yeah,
want to show them evil and
yes,
thoughtful. And it's just those very little nuances that are so
yes.
beautiful to
Yes.
explore.
Yes. And I don't know what is with murder mysteries and Mukherjees. I don't know. There is something to it. all these from Kolkata, all these authors from Kolkata, in them, they know the psychology of people, and I don't know. Of course, there is this research, but still, you have to write it down. So, I mean, I have earlier
We
also.
need to go to the streets of Kolkata, huh?
Yes, there is something there. There is something in the water, and I have to perhaps in the future ask the author when we can eventually. I mean, we have had him before on some lives, but I mean, I was seriously surprised by In the Shadows of Death, especially because it's easier than, I mean, it's a template. It's a template. It's I mean, let's call it that, and there are a couple of cops. What happens is that there are a couple of cops, there is a murder, in a club, and there are victims. There are other factors. There is the aspect of corporates. That corporate sector is also there, and all these elements. But to bring them together, there are multiple suspects after this. What happens to Sheetal Mehra in this club? I'm just talking about In the Shadows of Death for now. There are multiple suspects, and Agni and Arya, of course, are supposed to investigate the case. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a template, it's there, and this has been happening for a
But
while. I mean, yeah, this
I
has been
think
happening for a
it's every
while.
writer's own it's every writer's own touch to their characters. You can have the same cops for every book, but you can't
Yes,
have the same storyline. You can't have the same emotions. You can't have the
yeah.
same characters that are being involved with that cop. So I think
Hmm.
that's what makes all the matter in the
Hmm.
storyline, even if it's a overused storyline.
Yeah.
Because how many times can you kill a person? It has to be the same way. It has to be repeated after one point, right?
Okay. So yeah, I mean, so I was talking about that template, and it's the Agni Mitra series, and more to come, of course. But so when this kind of murder happens, there are multiple suspects, right? And there is an investigation, that will happen. And we have read and watched this over and over again. So there is a huge chance of, repeatability. It can happen very easily. But to bring change, I mean, bring the character of the city, that is Kolkata, in there, creating the milieu, getting more into the psychology of it, it's easier said than done. I mean, you can watch as many movies as you can. You can read Sherlock Holmes. You can do whatever you want to do. But at the end of the day, to kind of Indianize it, add those elements, it's not easy to write a thriller or a murder mystery. So yeah, props for that. And I would like to read something which might set the tone for what is coming ahead. And I don't know if you will like it or not, but yeah, I'll have to do it. So
How much gore is there? Because I've already read too much right now.
okay, the more the merrier for me, at least. So what happens is this is day 2 on page 41. Okay, so I don't know how visible it is, but this is day 2 on page 41, and these chapters are in italics. Okay, so I was trying to figure it out what's happening in the book. So the thing is that this is the voice of the killer. Okay, so all these chapters where the voice of the killer is there, so there are italics. So it's a great way to kind of segregate that voice so that it doesn't mingle with the main plot. Very smartly done by the author, and so I wanted to read it. So yeah, I was taken aback by this. You clap around a mosquito buzzing around in the air conditioned comfort of your car, and it dies right away. Now that isn't a whole lot of fun, is it? You end up with a blood stain and the shapeless, lifeless remains of a bloodsucker squashed on your hands. That's about it. The end. No drama. Now consider this. The mosquito doesn't die right away. Maybe you didn't get the angle right. Maybe not enough force to kill, but enough to make it land on the dashboard. Dismembered, maybe a leg torn off. The flight interrupted, and you watch it crawl on the dashboard, trying to fly, trying to escape the imminent death staring it in the eyes, and failing every time. And then you get into action. You chop a wing off, and then perhaps another. Maybe a couple more legs go next. And in your mind, you clap in glee as you see its mutilated form crawl around. The taste of your blood it sucked a while back, still fresh in its mouth, still holding on to its impossible hope of flying out of what would be a miserable death. I mean, I really want to
I
read the
have
entire
something to say.
goodness.
This is the setting tone of
Yes,
my life today.
yes, 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 yes.
This,
This is it. This is
oh
it.
my
And
god.
it is so weird. and eerie and beautiful at the same time. I think the author hasn't got more credit for this book. I think that he should have gotten more for this one. Although the template
And
was
you
the
know
same.
what? You know what? When you told me this was the killer's voice that was like who's narrating this,
Yes.
I kept imagining in my head him doing this to a human, and it
I
was
didn't
all the
even
more creepy to me.
I didn't even think about that because that was like, okay, you can't think like that, right? You can't think like that. If you think like that, there's something wrong. But it kind of gave us an insight, us an insight into how these killers think, or maybe it's a serial killer. Then it's weirder. But that gives you the insight of how past experiences can make you do all this. So that's what the book is all about. It's more so the it's a, of course there is a mystery and there are cops solving it, detectives solving it, but more so it's how this our society kind of doesn't pay attention to it. I mean, there are people out there who have gone through experiences in their childhood or maybe earlier in life, and then they just it's all there inside, and it comes out in when they are pushed to the wall. And nobody does it for any other reason, at least I believe. So yeah, I mean, and the same happens with the killer in this book as well. It's slightly old, the book, so I can talk slightly more than we would have ideally kind of talked about. But it gives you an insight and all. I mean, I read this book called The Mind Hunter. There was a Netflix series also by the same name. But I would compare it to that completely. I mean, we sometimes Indian authors don't get the credit which they deserve. I mean, of course, they that was not fiction, but so yeah. So
This is gruesome enough to be non-fiction, quite honestly.
what about this one? What's happening with this one?
Oh my God. Oh my. I started thinking about right now. You just asked me what's happening in this one, and I just realized in which circumstances I read this book. So it's 2 a.m., and I'm trying to finish my college homework. And because I get bored very often, so every few minutes I open the book and I read a page, right? Just so I can maintain some kind of brain cells in my head.
Right.
And I'm reading, and it's 2 a.m., and I reach the end of the book. And I shall say this very nicely, very politely. Do not read this book when it's 2 a.m. and everyone in your house is sleeping, and there's a mosquito roaming around, and there are spiders all over, and you can see a chipkali in the corner of the room just waiting there to kidnap you, maybe, or kill you. Who knows? Do not. I repeat, do not. But yeah, I read this book in those very circumstances. And I have to say, oh my God, I'm obsessed. Like today, the whole day, I kept thinking about the end. And the best part about the book's ending is, wait, I haven't even told about the book. Okay, the best part about the book's ending is that it completely changes your view on the whole book. So now that I'm talking about it from the start, I just keep seeing these instances of where I had completely different ideas the first time before, and I'm just, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed right now. So the book basically revolves around Manav, Neha, and Hia. Her name is very weird, but Hia, right? And these are three people, kind of normal people, high society, rich people. Hia is an actress. Manav is a builder. He's from a very rich family. And Neha is his family friend. And so Neha and Manav were first engaged, but then something happens and they break it off. And so Manav gets in a relationship with Hia. And so they get married. And 2 weeks after their marriage, well, no, wait, not 2 weeks, 12 days. The
Yeah.
character reminds us of this very often. 12 days after their marriage, they get assaulted, and
Right.
they're stopped in the middle of the road, and their driver is hit on the head. Manav is dragged and he's assaulted, and Hia is dragged to a garage and she's raped, and by these three goons, right? And no one knows who hired them or who it is that who's after maybe Manav or Hia, and who are their enemies, and no one knows anything. And that is where our cops come in, ACP
Yes.
Arya, ACP I keep forgetting the name.
Agni.
I keep saying ACP Pradyuman for some
Agni.
reason, and I can't stop in my head now. I just
Agni Arya.
Agni. ये टीवी ने बिगाड़ दिया है मुझको. ACP प्रद्युमन ही आता है अब मैं पुलिस स्टेशन में भी जाके यही बोलूंगी सीधा.
That happens to a lot of us.
But yeah, ACP Agni and Arya, they are there on this case and they're ready to solve it.
The three guys, I had to intervene there. The three guys, if you remember, were it Mushtaq, Ashfaq, and Rishi. The three guys, right?
Yeah.
And they did this gruesome crime, right? You know, but they were like kind of hired for it. It is more than that, you know. So
I mean, the creepiest thing was that the first scene about it, like you get into the book, and I'm such an idiot. Sometimes I forget to read the blurb, right? So that I'm prepared at least on what is happening. And I just went into the book. I had no idea what I was reading, and I started reading. And the first scene is that he is being dragged off of into the garage, and they're doing all these things to her. And that creepy guy, one of the three goons, he clicks a photo with her because he romanticizes her and he's such a big fan. And I felt so disgusted, and I just wanted to stop reading.
It is kind of, you know, again, the author is pretty smart, I think so. He is watching you, right? So what happens is that these, you know, the paparazzi and everything, he has delved into that world, right? I mean, what's beyond those selfies, right? Which you want to have with your favorite.
Yeah, exactly. It gives a new perspective to photographs also, you know, on why they were taken and in what circumstances they were taken. It really does. And it's such a good hook to the story, that first chapter, because it instantly made me obsessed on what was going to happen, how are they going to handle everything. These three guys are here, they are on CCTV, they're obviously going to get caught. But who did this? Who would be so
practically
disgusting enough?
Yeah, they were practically served to the cops. I mean, it was so easy. I mean, you know.
Yeah. And, you know, in like the second chapter, I think they were, no, actually the first chapter, by the first chapter, they were already in the prison, in the lockup. Yeah. And I was like, but they've been caught. Yeah. Where's the story then?
Goodness,
what is more?
This reverse form of writing, you know, it's very difficult, to be honest. And let me, you know, of course, you can go on about the colors of passion, and then I'll add my 2 bits.
Yeah, and this book, it gets you hooked from that very first chapter. So you see all these characters who are coming into play. So there's Neha, right? And she's obviously got grudges against Hia because in her mind, she stole her fiance, right? And she was obligated to having Manav, and she would have Manav in any way, shape or form that she could. So you instantly see a connection there that, oh my God, she has intentions, like she could have done this. And then there's her father, who is completely connected to the story in all the ways possible. And he's also very angry when Manav breaks off their relationship. So you see another connection there. And then there is Rituja, who is another old actress who is connected to the story due to Agni, right? Because she had been a past sort of client of his, right? So you see all these characters and you see that they have connections, but it doesn't make sense because how can there be so many connections?
I think there is that pattern, you know, Saurabh's pattern. And I mean, even in the Shadows of Death, this pattern, you know, holds true, because I was like, what is this guy got to do with you know, this story? And it was kind of brought together beautifully, but you know, it keeps the mystery going, because holding a mystery is a tough job, usually, we tend to kind of, know like why this happened, what happened. So the mystery has been, kind of, preserved till at least for,
It really has, because you have you have all of these characters, but something still doesn't connect till the end.
right,
There is motive, there is circumstance, there is everything. Everything is falling into place, and yet it's not, because it's too easy. Like those three goons. It's too easy. It's too
it's too
easy
easy.
to blame Neha. It's too easy to blame Rituja.
Yeah.
And you don't know who it is. So
So
I
I think,
can't say any further, or I'm
of
going to
course,
reveal
of course, we can't, reveal the ending, but what I
and
think
what a
the author,
beautiful end.
yeah, the author has kind of, taken all the elements of the template and done it really well, which is a good job in itself. And then, of course, the Indianized things, those are there. But I wanted
I
to,
really like Rituj. Like, I hate Rituja's character, but I love her entry into the story because it really Indianized the whole story.
yeah, yeah.
Because
I hated
there
so many
was her.
in this entire thing. I hated so many people. I can't even
Oh
count
my
them.
God, I have never hated more characters in a book. Like, at 2 a.m., I was just mumbling stuff about characters. Like, why are you here?
So I wanted to go to page 114 from this one, and so what's happening is it's a very short paragraph, but it kind of defines Agni for me. So and the good thing about the cops that Saurabh has created is that they have their own thing going, right? Psychologically, they are not, sorted. And this is something which has been executed by a lot of authors, but sometimes not too well. So that is something which has been done well. Day 18, 11:30 p.m. And I love this. And we are going to talk about this also, how he has done the timing in day thing. Uh, is it in Colors of Passion also? The timing and day thing? No, no, it's not there. So in the Shadows of Death, he has done that. So it is written. It was a while since Medha, and Medha is Agni's ex-wife. Medha had left, and Agni's life had been slipping into a mundane routine. He woke up at 6, worked out, made breakfast for himself, mostly bread, boiled eggs, and black coffee, went to work, picked up dinner on his way home, had a few drinks, and went to bed. I mean, that is so mechanical. And, it's something that, defines the character so beautifully. I think this paragraph would be underrated because, you're defining the character within like moments. So that's a good
There
thing.
are two instances like these for me in the book, in The
Okay.
Colors of Passion. One is
Okay.
with Arya and Agni, and one is with just Agni. Like the starting, I think chapter 1 or chapter 2, when he first witnesses Rituja,
Yeah.
right? So he's there, and she tilts her glass at him, like as
Yeah.
an acknowledgement that she
Yes.
remembers him,
Yeah.
and he's just there. He's just sitting.
Yeah.
He doesn't react, and that was it for me. Like, oh my God, he is so far gone. He's like a destroyed cop,
Yeah.
one of those bad cops who's just like mechanical. And
Yeah.
then there was this scene when he walks into the prison cell with the three goons,
Right.
and they instantly start talking to him because he's so different than all the other cops. He isn't
Yeah.
trying to scare them, but his stare, it's just there. He's that brooding cop. And then there's this scene with Arya. So their relationship, oh my God, I love their relationship so much. So there's,
I
I
want
won't
to talk about
say,
before you go on. I want before I forget. Of course, the chapter, the day and time thing. So he has mentioned in all chapters. These are not chapters. It's going on in real time, as in it's day 13 and the time is 7 p.m. So
oh,
it's going on like that. It's like a movie. So this day
the colors
37,
of passion is very different from this.
it's
It
different. It's
actually goes back and forth in time. Like
okay.
it'll say 2 months later at one point, or
Okay.
10 years before at one
Okay.
another. It's very different in that
Okay.
perspective.
No,
Very
no, of course,
mashed.
that has also happened, but not so much. So I wanted to again go to the italics in the chapter, in the book. It's one of my favorite parts, to be honest. I really wanted to talk about Agni and Arya in detail, but the killer fascinates me in this one. So that's why I'm talking about. I don't know if that reflects well on me, but personally, but
Yeah, I am very scared right now.
yes, don't talk to me after this call. So, uh,
I shall
so
immediately run away with the paperbacks.
yes. So it's mentioned the strand of hair I had plucked off Meenakshi's head was now firmly glued to a page in my scrapbook. So this guy is creating a scrapbook after creating crimes, after doing the crimes, committing the crimes. Like the rest of them, those were my trophies. I closed my eyes as I remembered every word she had uttered, every move she had made, every lustful moan that had escaped her lips, and then every fruitless attempt she had made to hold on to dear life as my fingers around her neck had sunk in deeper. I remembered how her face had changed colors from a warm red to a cold, deathly white. I remembered how she had been a temptress one minute and a corpse the next. The look of unbelieving horror frozen for eternity in those dead eyes. Saurabh, if you are listening to this, I mean, this is just
I, I
ghastly.
have to say, I'm very grateful I read this book. It is not as gruesome. It is very
Good,
nice.
good.
It is based on love.
No
Love.
wonder, no wonder this book has been appreciated. I mean, it has been mentioned in all the dailies, top dailies of India, but still, I feel that this could have, been more than that. It's kind of I'm lost for words actually because I have been reading a lot of this stuff and this is top notch. This is top notch. I mean, if you, yeah, and and the psychology of it. I mean, a
Speechless.
scrapbook, seriously. Oh my gosh, it's amazing how he has done it. But
So
okay,
I was going to reserve this for the very end, but I think we need a little lightness right now
oh
because
yes, we
wow,
need it.
those words were, oh my God. So
Yes,
I am reading this
and
from the very last page.
these were not the worst parts. Actually, I did not.
I
I
am
am not.
scared of the book now.
Yeah, or I
I
should
am
say the
very
best
scared and I
parts.
shall not be reading it at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
I will be reading it while I sit with my parents, दोनों के
Yes,
बीच में,
do that.
in the sun.
Yeah. You were saying about the last part of the book or something.
Oh yeah. Um, so for anyone who has been with us for
Yeah.
even a little bit of time, they know I
Yeah.
am obsessed with romance. A little
Yes.
too much. A
Yes.
little too much.
Yeah.
Okay. So The Colors of Passion, as the title suggests, it's
Yeah.
very passionate. All the characters, they're deeply in love with one or the other,
Okay.
and they do crimes for that love, right? One more so than the others, but
Yeah.
yeah. So the last page of the book, I won't say in what circumstances it was written, and I won't reveal names or the pronouns of the people.
Yeah.
But there is this paragraph that it's the second last paragraph of the book, and it completely swept me off my feet. Like I wanted to hate the character who wrote it, but I couldn't because those words were magical. So I never imagined we would be united so soon. Our journey to eternal bliss unfolding just as they had planned it. I can see my love waiting for me. Messy locks all over their face. Lips curved in that lopsided smile that never failed to make my heart skip a beat. Their arms stretched for me, just for me. And it
Yeah.
just, as a romantic who loves reading books, all kinds of books, this made it so much more special for me because
Right.
it wasn't a serial killer crime, right?
Yeah,
It was done in passion, it was done in love. And
yeah,
when you go back and read that character, all everything that they've done from the very start, it gives it this love and hate vibe, because you hate what they've done, you hate it so much,
yeah,
but it it was done in love. And how can you betray that?
yeah,
How can you hate that?
yeah. So yeah, I mean, about the crime in the Shadows of Death. So what happens is that in the beginning itself, it is established that there is this girl, woman, Sheetal Mehra, who is murdered in the club, of course, and there's a party, there's a corporate party there of Crescent Technology, and what happens then is she is murdered in the loo, and she's left there. So after that, the police comes in, and Agni and Arya get on the job, and then there are multiple suspects because there are multiple people at that party, and then things start to unfold, and then there happens a second murder, a similar kind of murder of Minakshi Menon. So that all that is happening, and then the whole saga unfolds. But about the relationship between Agni and Arya, it's quite kind of a very sort of uh, uh, loving friendship zone, and at the
Brooding
same.
cop and nice cop, when they
Oh
meet,
yeah,
you
oh
know,
yeah, it's
thorns and
beautiful.
roses sort of
Yes, yes, yes,
uh,
it's beautiful.
imagery.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
There is this part in the book where Agni, he has just revealed something really big right in front of an audience, and he's
yeah.
like, aha, I knew you were gonna do this, or something like that. And
Yes.
Arya, he's just looking at him and he goes something like, you could have told me this before, you know. And I just love that scene so much. It was
Oh,
like little brother vibes.
so that
So
in itself, that in itself is another book, right? I mean that because all that is happening with Agni and Arya, it is so amazing because at one point in time in the Shadow of Death, there's this part where they are deciding. The author mentions that Agni loves DNA testing, so that part of the book was very kind of, he brings in DNA testing every time. And Arya is like, you obviously like it, you like to do that. So it's kind of, such a gruesome crime is being investigated. But these,
Agni is weird.
Agni is super
Very
weird.
weird.
Agni is super weird. His personal life is not sorted, and he doesn't let Arya,
He doesn't
emote.
have a personal life. He doesn't let anyone in to have a personal life.
Yeah, so he Arya wants to kind of mention something to him at one point in time, and Agni is like, stop it. He doesn't want to discuss anything with anyone. It's amazing how screwed up he is in the head at that point.
But even through all of that, you can like see how much he cares for Arya, because he always
Yeah,
protects him from those kind of things, you know.
yeah,
And it's really interesting to see that aspect of their relationship, where he hates being personal about things
yeah,
and he hates sharing things, but he
yeah,
also obviously cares about that other
yeah.
person. So he's like, okay,
But the
keep them
common
safe
thing,
from my
yeah,
darkness.
but the common thing is that they both are damn good cops. I mean, they are amazing, and they see what is not so obvious, and that is something which the psychology of it, analyzing why was the crime committed. And of course there's a Professor Parikshit Roy in the book, who is like a mentor to Agni, and he goes to the professor, just like Money Heist, maybe, I don't know, but he goes to the professor for advice, and the professor is kind of mentor to him. It's beautiful how the entire landscape has been set up, and it must have taken time, and props to the author. Okay, very quickly, three things you loved about the book, and three things you thought, okay, could have been better.
Hmm. I loved the characters. I mean, by characters, I mean there were characters that I hated, but they had so much depth in the story and they had so many emotions and connections to the story that I loved how they were grounded, right?
Okay.
So the characters were amazing. The plot line was amazing because it wasn't just one straight plot line. There were a lot of mini plot lines and subplots throughout the book. Like there were characters who were interacting within themselves, and we got to know about it later on,
Yeah.
right? Through either Agni or Arya, and that whole translated into very amazing things. And then the third part, I loved that the author is so amazing that he mentioned LGBTQIA. Like he included that in the book. It's so amazing. Like seeing an Indian author have such a big platform and then add that to his story. It's amazing. I loved it. And he didn't add it in a bad way. You know, a lot of people try to demonize LGBTQIA characters, but I felt like he wasn't demonized, the person that was LGBTQIA, and that their story was actually told through the stigma of the people in our society. And it gave way to a lot of the conversation at the end. Like the last chapters, they had a lot of that impactful narration that society needs at this point, you know. They need to talk about things like these. So I loved that. What about you?
So the three things I really loved. First, the killer was really screwed up. I'll always love that.
I am very scared of you now. What is wrong with you? Why do you keep
on I mean, see, I mean, there wouldn't have been a Dark Knight if there wasn't a Joker. So, you know, I have to, you know, be scared of the killer. So that was, you know.
I'm very interested now in reading this book.
So that's one.
And scared.
The second thing is that the author doesn't try to, you know, be easy on the audience, on the reader, right? There are sometimes, you know, people are afraid of, you know, showing gore or, you know, writing gore. He doesn't do that. He goes all out. Maybe, and I'll come to the cons later on. So these are the two things. And third thing, of course, the dynamics between Arya and Agni, that really worked for me because it needs that, you know, friendship and camaraderie, if you wish, to, you know, for a successful murder mystery thriller kind of this genre. It needs that.
You need to have the narrator also take part in the story. You know, you can't always have just a first person view where the narrator doesn't really do a lot and then things just happen around.
And I have read books which haven't done that, so I appreciate that. Three things which you think that could have been better about the book, perhaps, or one or two, whatever.
Yeah, I have a major one. So Sourabh Mukherjee, I'm really interested in reading the other book because you say it's in present timeline, like, right? It's like a few hours apart at most.
Yes.
So Sourabh Mukherjee, when he's writing in the present tone in the book, it's flawless. It's amazing. It's very interesting. But when he does this time lapse thing where at one point he's mentioned 2 months later, I just felt a little disjointed. I don't know why. I can't exactly pinpoint it, but I don't think it's his forte to write in that time lapse sort of thing. You know, a lot of authors can pull that off where they can show the time through the characters and everything, but it didn't really transcend as well for me. So I loved his present narration, but not really the 2 months later, 3 months later, that sort of thing.
It's kind of, you know,
I think that was
a Tarantino thing when you know, kind of go back and forth, and it's a very tough task, to be honest.
Yeah, it is, because sometimes you lose the character. You know, the thing about going back and forth is that 10 years ago, the person wasn't the same. And you have to keep that in mind. Like, smoothly, in a way that it doesn't feel rushed. It needs time. And I think that's what the author needs, maybe. He needs time to make that a lot more better.
Sure. What I didn't like, I thought I didn't like that there was not enough gore. I thought he could have gone. He could have gone.
I think I'm going to stop talking to you now.
No, seriously. I mean, I think he went a little easy on the readers. I think he could have gone more, you know, brutal.
This book's first chapter was an assault scene. What more do you want?
No, I mean, of course, I appreciated the italics here and all those chapters. And I mean, he delved into the past of the killer very well, I must say. But still, I would like to know more about him. And if a book comes out just about him, I would read it again. And so, yeah, that was something. And yeah, I mean that's about it. I I didn't mind that the book wasn't too lyrical. I mean, I think so. A lot of times British writers, especially, they make it a lot more lyrical, but it was in the right amount, so I didn't miss that much. Yeah, I mean, I think those were the things. Oh, and I wanted to know more about Arya. Yeah, I needed to know more about Arya. I found that maybe if it was a 500-page book, it would have been there. But if I would have read a 500-page book, I doubt. So that's something.
Most of it would have been about the killer and then Arya, and you would have been happy.
I would have been kind of, yeah, happy. Although Agni has gotten enough in this entire book, but yeah, I mean that's just me. I mean it could be it's my personal opinion, but
I think it
nonetheless.
acts as a hook, like it's showing just a few scenes between Arya and Agni, those snippets of love and encouragement.
Yes.
So that acts as a hook to read the next book.
Also, I wanted the interrogations to be longer. Just my personal thing. I just wanted the interrogations to be longer and more, kind of grilling with all the suspects, especially Abhinav Mehra, Vaishali, Vikrant, all of them. I really wanted them to be grilled so that they don't have it easy. But that's just me. I mean, that's my opinion.
I can say the author has done that in this book.
Oh,
my
okay,
God.
okay. So yeah,
Can't say.
I think so that kind of sums up of our opinions, our impressions, and what we loved about the book, what we didn't love about the book, and do try to get hands on this one. And of course, uh, the colors of passion, and the book covers are quite subtle, right?
So subtle. It's just a knife covered in blood. What more?
Just a girl, murdered and lying on the floor. And here it's there, just a knife, very harmless knife. So guys,
Maybe
do pick
it's
that.
jelly on there.
Yes,
Who
it's
knows?
jelly. It's jelly. It's jelly. It's just hot
They're
sauce.
spreading it on the bread. There'll be peanut butter next.
Yes,
Just
surely.
making a sandwich.
Yes. So yeah, and Hia Sen sounds quite familiar. So okay, I don't know why that was done. Yes. So thank you so much, Vidushi, for adding me to this live, and it was kind of gruesome fun reading these books. And
I am
yeah,
a lot more terrified of you now
thank you so
and
much.
your book choices.
Thank
I
you so
shall
much.
never take one of your book recommendations now.
You shouldn't.
Never.
I'll be recommending you. And when after you're done with these books, you can go on to read Mindhunter also. You'll get a hang of what I've been saying all along. So yeah, all the crime and serial
I'll
killer.
ask my mom first because
Yes,
it'll be her hand I'll be holding the whole time
true. So I think
to save
so.
me.
Yeah, I think so. We are like kind of. It has been a while, and yeah, we should.
Okay, nerds,
Yeah.
you know what to do out there. Go check out these amazing, amazing books. They're so gruesome, so interesting, so full of passion, just amazing. And for more book related content, you can follow Book Nerds on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Have fun, happy reading, and see you all next time.
Happy reading.